We're in the same medical position that we've been in for some time now, right? So, questions?
It's good to have full practice and have everybody available.
I mean, it was just good to get a Sunday, where they were off to play early on Saturday and to get a day off on Sunday, going into a big week here. So we were able to, some folks were able to get some rest, and then you're able to, have a couple of practices.
You guys pretty much control your own destiny as far as Big East tournament seeding goes. You went out, I guess. Are you looking at that right now and using that as a goal?
I think you're just trying to get across to the guys that, obviously the regular season, goal of a championship has come and gone, but that, we could still position ourselves, to have a better March than we've had, the previous, months potentially. But, if we don't take good care of the basketball, if we don't defend better, if we don't have like two-way playmakers all over the court that are on the backboard and just playing with incredible effort, then it won't be a good March.
Are you playing right now for seeding in the Big East tournament, hoping to beat 2 or 3, or is it more looking forward to the NCAA and wanting a better seed there?
I just think we're trying to play a consistent game. Try not to turn the ball over 25 times like we did when we played Marquette the first time. We got away with some things in that game from a defensive standpoint. I think it's just focusing on, the respect that we have for the opponent tomorrow night, and then trying to play better in this building. We haven't played well offensively, or defensively, at least in league play in Gamble. So obviously we're going to need a great, great support from the crowd, a crowd that helps us play better. It's not like the last couple of years where, the team put on, shows in front of the home crowd. We need the home crowd to affect the opponent and to help us.
Dan, if you're a player who reaches March and next year you're going to have some options. You don't know where your life's going to be, whether it's a Liam or an Alex or any number of kids across the country. Like, it's human nature to wonder what's next in life. How do you separate the two? What do you do as a coach to make sure they don't worry about all that yet and lock in?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the forces are against you. You just hope that you don't have, people that are unhelpful around the players that have been in their ear about, I'm getting you out of there for weeks or months. But that's obviously going on across the country, and so many teams that you see get affected by it. All I guess I try to preach here is, we're still in the we season. You're not adding value to your career by being a bad teammate. You're not adding any value to what your worth is going to be in the NIL portal by being an anchor at the end of the year with your team. If you have one foot out the door, you're going to play worse too. Which is just not going to help the players with suitors and valuation relative to the NIL. So trying to preach team and caring about the front of the jersey more than the back. I mean, that you're preaching that like every other coach, but it's in the players' interest not to sink the team.
And from the outside looking in, it seems like the guys who have come and gone from your program have done a really good job with that.
They have. I mean, we've had, I think in some years it's been better than others, but I mean, I just look at last year's team. Which we miss Apostolos, in the locker room. I mean, that guy was just. I think we cried more when he told us he was leaving than when Clint Kahn left. He was just an amazing guy, and that's why we had such a strong connection with the team, because we had for the most part up and down the roster the last 2 years, we've just had total soldiers, and so.
Do you feel like
this time of year? Sorry, Roger. This time of year, well, not necessarily tricks of the trade, but what have you learned, especially over the last 2 seasons with all the success, to prepare a team, to get them ready? I don't know if there are tricks to get this group, any group, to be ready to play in March.
Yeah, well, I mean, this year's different because we're still juggling like a rotation and still trying to shore up some major vulnerabilities that we have as a team. So as opposed to the last 2 years, you're just trying to keep your team sharp, keep your team confident. You know, because we were excellent at both ends of the court and on the backboard, and we were deep, and we knew who was playing when. Whereas we're still searching a little bit in the beginning of March, which, you know, so it's different. I mean, we're trying to get better. We're still trying to find a better version of ourselves. You know, we're still trying to play a full, complete game where we're still, you know, looking for production and minutes at critical spots. You know, so it's a different experience, but it's also, you know, this is the position that we've put ourselves in. We're not, you know, entitled to be in a better position. This is who we are at this point in the year. And but there's also a lot of schools and a lot of teams that have 7, 8, 9, 10 losses that have a chance to make a run this time of year. And I think we're amongst a bunch of teams that have shown a higher ceiling. But then obviously at times the floor has been lower for us than it's been in a while here.
Do you feel like you've made strides with taking care of the ball since the 25 turnovers? And
Oh, no. I mean, there was some bad ones, games after that one, which I don't want to think about right now. But, you know, in the end, it's, you know, teams like Marquette, they don't cooperate with you. They put, you know, they've taken advantage of one of our vulnerabilities, which is, you know, not having, you know, the handlers to deal with the full court pressure to half court pressure. You know, Marquette, you know, teams that, you know, play full court denial, trapping. You know, those. You know, we've tried a number of different things. In the end, we got to have guys that are confident guards that want the ball in their hands and, you know, can handle pressure and, you know, pass out of traps, get open versus a face guard. You know, we've seen a lot of it, and we've practiced it a lot. So
does having a healthier Haas help
in
in that respect?
I mean, he was limping around like you wouldn't believe that game there. I mean, he looked broken down. Ahmad wasn't an option at that point with the shoulder or an ankle. I don't. He had one of those going on then. So yeah, he's feeling a lot healthier.
Does the off-script stuff help with not turning the ball over, or is that still something that you think?
Yeah, I mean, we're just getting stops and getting out in transition and you know, letting these guys play more. You know, there's really when people are pressuring you out of the stuff that you're running in the half court. You know, you could really only cut it, you know, or you could drive it. You know, you got to be able to do one of those two things when people, you know, pressure you out of the stuff that you're trying to run, right? Because they're in denials and they're pressuring the ball and they're blowing up screens. To soften up that defense, you got to be able to beat people off the dribble, and cut people, and you know, back cut them and make plays in the paint to get people to you know, to respect your ability to create off the dribble.
Alex is going to be part of senior night. I know you've got a lot on your mind. Besides that, when, if you haven't already, when will you start thinking about how much he's meant to this program?
Yeah, not anytime soon. You know, not until we get to a point where, you know, where he's exhausted his, you know, his career here and he's made that move, and then. But yeah, until they sit in the office with me at that moment when they go to the NBA, I don't really think about it unless you know the guy's done. I mean, it was like, even though he could have talked Donovan into coming back for a third year, he said that on the record too. And then he's, you know, staff. You know, like when you have the guys, you know they're done. You know, Tristan, and then it gets real emotional for you.
Do you look at him to help you get this team ready for March because of all of his experience?
Yeah, I mean, he has to. He has to. Hassan has to. Sampson has to. You know, those guys that are champions, two-time champions, and, you know, have Big East champions. I mean, they have to do it. I mean, they have to. They have to galvanize the team. I mean, that's, you know, especially Alex.
How's Alex feeling, and just feeling about everything he's accomplished and been through. He was really down after the St. John's game, understandably.
Yeah.
He was really feeling good about his contributions at Providence. So
Yeah.
it's been kind of a roller coaster for him.
Yeah, I mean, anyone that's been part of a year that's been part of it for the last couple of years. I mean, the year hasn't been quite as much fun. It's been at different times it's been very gratifying. At different times it's been frustrating but I think that there's maybe a mindset post St. John's, maybe at the Garden, where you just come to this realization, and the worst thing you do in life is to take a victim mentality. Like I'm a victim in this, or woe is me. I think it's like, from myself, who's had the most impact on what the seasons looked like, through to the better players like Alex. I mean, we've put ourselves in this position by the decisions we've made and the way that we've performed to this point. And once you own that and accept that and just focus on being better and pushing forward and improving and winning the next game, I mean, you can get over all that stuff and just find gratification and just getting the most out of this season with this team and playing as well as you can down the stretch.
You mentioned that you got away with some stuff defensively last time you played them, but it seemed like you kind of turned a corner in that game with your defense, the way you switched everything.
Yeah.
Do you feel like that's gotten?
Yeah, I don't know if we'll be able to do it as much. Just they'll be, obviously better prepared for us to do that. So we work on some like alternative plans to that, but you have to be able to do some of that versus those guys, because they'll just, with Gold at the 5 and Parham at the 5, their ability to pick and pop and make threes, and just Cam Jones and Joplin and Ross and Stevie Mitchell. I mean, if you just play conventional ball screen defense versus those guys, they'll destroy you. So you got to have an alternative plans, and we've got hopefully a couple things that we can do, that we haven't shown, and some things that we would traditionally do.
What was it that you saw in Haas that made you want to bring him here out of the portal?
Just I think when he was coming out of high school, we were torn. We had players we had a player or two at his position that was an underclassman that caused us to not recruit point guard in his class. But then when you go through the Big East and you realize just how brutally physical and tough the league is on a night-to-night basis, just how much of a grind these games are. You need Big East guys, I think. And I think that'll resonate with us moving forward, is you need Big East guys to play in this league, the physicality of the league, and just the toughness. You need dogs to play in this league, or else you're gonna have a bad regular season. And was always a guy we looked at as competitive, super competitive dog that loves to compete.
In terms of your sophomores, you talked a lot about building around them in the season. Is it something you look back on now and regret a little bit, or do you see the improvement at least in Solo and maybe a little in Stewie? Yeah,
I would say Solo I think has probably exceeded I think anyone's expectations for the year. He's really helped himself, and he's been great for us, especially at the offensive end, and he's made strides defensively to become the two-way players that we need here. Jalen has flashed the ability. He's just, he's still a young guy, and he's a guy that really needs to get in the weight room in the off season and get a lot physically stronger, because he's got, you've seen him flash his game and talent. And then, Jaden Ross is just like, I just wish he could take what he looks like on the practice court, where he flashes things that literally no one else is doing, in terms of just a 6'6", 6'7" guy that's doing things above the rim, and he's flashing all types of talent. He just hasn't been able to transfer that to game night. Part of it is lack of physical strength, like Jalen Stewart. Part of it is just the timing of things. So no, I don't regret that. I love those three kids.